Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are talking with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. This is our daily MLB pitching preview show that we do with him. Right now we're looking at the card for Sunday, August 23rd. Joe Duffy, how is everything going at OffshoreInsiders.com?
Fantastic in baseball. And, of course, we're entering week 2 of the NFL X, so that's going to be great as well. It's been another very good calendar year for us.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, someone who things are going fantastically for, but it's not translating into wins. I mean, you might make smart picks sometimes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that those picks are going to be winners. You don't want to wind up being the Clayton Kershaw of the handicapping world, right, Joe Duffy? Clayton Kershaw, a huge favorite, road favorite in his last start. I think he was up to like minus 250, pitched 7 innings, gave up, I think, 1 run. The Dodgers still lost, and anyone who bet on the Dodgers in that game got burned badly. As great as Kershaw is, the Dodgers are now 5-8 on the year in his road starts. Here he's going to be on the road. He's going to be another big favorite at Houston with Lance McCullers on the other side. What's the deal with Kershaw and betting him?
Well, Kershaw, as we said, it's always about value. And remember, he got off to that slow start this year. I always said when guys are coming off of career years, I like to fade them early in the year. You're right, though. Still, Kershaw deserves a little bit better fate than he's gotten this year. But the Dodgers, look, they're pitching heavy. They're obviously built on pitching. And, of course, they play their home games in a ballpark where it's tough to get runs. I don't know if I would necessarily fade him, although I have faded, actually, Kershaw quite a few times this year. So when it comes to that magic word, value, it's very rare you can make an argument to go for Kershaw because you've got to lay such that humongous number, and the value is usually in betting against him.
Yeah, unbelievable. Dodgers 5-8 in Kershaw's road start. So even if Kershaw had been just an even money bet in all of those starts, you'd still be down.
That is correct, and like I said, and he's not even money. So, and I've been on the right side of quite a few of those picks, by the way.
All right, then Trevor Bauer and CC Sabathia are facing off. Obviously, it's going to be a day game on Sunday. Both those starters are struggling. Which of these starters here is likely to struggle more, and do we maybe want to have an initial lean to the over? I'm guessing the line won't be higher than 9.
Yeah, Sabathia has actually pitched well against Cleveland, but of course he was much younger then. We talked about it. An older, heavier pitcher constantly pitching in the summer heat. He's going to wear down. You're right. Bauer was destroyed his last outing. He was pitching pretty well entering that game, so I think he would be the more likely of the two to bounce back.
All right, and then Matt Garza is starting. You know that in general, he's the guy I'm looking to bet against. Here it's going to be a day game at Washington. Is Garza going to be vulnerable here? My guess is yes. And then on the other side, Jordan Zimmermann should be okay. So I guess if I think Zimmerman's going to get hit, I'd lean over. If I think he's going to be good, I'd lean Washington. But my basic lean is that Garza's going to struggle a little bit against Washington.
And, Garza entering his last game, he actually had 2 pretty respectable back-to-back starts, but then he looked again like Matt Garza last time out. It's tough to make an argument to go for Garza. You're correct. I mean, obviously the Nationals have been a disappointment this year, in part because their offense just isn't all that spectacular. So whether I'm necessarily going to go with the Nationals, I'm not so sure, but we agree that Matt Garza is clearly in the bottom rung of starting pitchers.
And then I want to ask you about the KC-Boston game. This is an interesting one, right? Because for a few reasons. First of all, Eduardo Rodriguez off of a good start. He threw 114 pitches, but it's a small sample size, but he has some massive day-night splits. He's been excellent at night, gotten crushed in the daytime. Of course, this is going to be a day game. On the other side, Edinson Volquez, I'm not exactly sure what to expect from him. We've repeated many times that KC has been the most profitable team to bet on in baseball, though. Given KC's overall ROI on the year and Eduardo Rodriguez day-night splits, seems like KC might be a good play here.
They could be, truthfully, one of the better systems I have could theoretically apply to betting against Kansas City on Sunday, but it depends on a couple factors. Make sure you visit offshoreinsiders.com to find out, and I'll make a final decision on Sunday. But, Rodriguez, 11 times in his last 15 starts, he's limited opponents to 3 or fewer runs, but I will make note of those day-night splits and see how many of those were during the day. The day-night splits can get a little distorted because they play, a lot more day games earlier in the year, and that could be sort of a little bit of a pot luck, and it's not like the day-night splits are evenly divided as often the day-road splits are. But Maybe, but I will definitely make a final decision. I do know that this game, there's a good possibility one of our best systems could actually say to bet against Kansas City, but I will not know until Sunday.
And then Anibal Sanchez just hasn't been pitching that well for kind of an extended period of time. Here he's going to be at home in the day game against Texas. Texas has a lineup that can be productive. Cole Hamels on the other side also hasn't had a really strong start yet for Texas. Does seem like in general he's maybe a notch less uninspiring than Sanchez. I don't know. We're probably going to have a low total because of the pitchers involved here. If Hamels gives up 3 and Sanchez gives up 4 in 7 innings, let's say, we may want to lean towards the over.
I would agree with you. And remember, we talked about, I think it was 3 of his last 4 starts with Philadelphia, right before he threw that no-hitter, he had gotten roughed up. So Hamels has had some pretty bad outings as of late. I think he's one of these stud pitchers who's struggling right now and is probably a good go against. And that would include, obviously, if he's a go against, the over could look pretty good, especially considering he's not exactly facing Cy Young.
Right.
So you're right. There probably will be a lot of runs in this game.
I know the totals are probably going to be pretty low. All right, so I think maybe my strongest lean of the day as of right now is going to be the over in Texas at Detroit, and then I'm also looking for Garza to struggle, but I'm not exactly sure how I'm most likely to bet that game. What else do you bring to our attention from Sunday, August 23rd, Joe?
Well, streaky young guys. We have a couple guys who have been streakier than you when you go to those swinger parties in San Jose, Costa Rica. Matt Whistler, of course, started out pretty well, but he's got a 7.20 ERA over his past 4 starts. It looks like baseball has caught up to him. And a guy that we talk about a lot, Taijuan Walker, he's been great. He's been awful. Now he is back to being pretty darn good. 5 straight quality starts, 3.15 ERA. So I think that, Walker's back to being a go with type pitcher.
All right, Joe Duffy, I think my biggest lean overall on the day for Sunday, August 23rd, is my lean towards something I'm not going to be doing, and that's not going to be betting on Clayton Kershaw as another big road favorite. Thanks so much, Joe.
I would agree with that. Thank you, Peter.